There's a special tonight right here on Channel 4 at 8 o'clock, 96 Hours of Anguish. Vic Micolucci takes us to the Bahamas right after the hurricane hit. And we were talking about this before. A lot of the news coverage stopped when the storm left, but the real story happened right afterwards. So you figured out a way to get out there, and it was actually your idea, and that's what the special is about tonight.
Sure. First of all, thank you to everybody at River City Live for having me on, Mark. I really appreciate all of the concern that you guys have had along the way. Listen, Hurricane Dorian had its sights set on Florida, right? We were worried about that. We were in storm prep mode. We were spared. That night, after we passed the cone of concern, I started to make those arrangements. I knew I had to get down there.
And then how did you do that? Because let's face it, not a lot of people are willing to get you out there, and you can't take a commercial flight out there, so what did you do?
A lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, tweets, Facebook messages. I called military, police, pilots, all of my contacts across the country, and I said, I need to get down to the Bahamas. And I ended up getting a chance from Royal Caribbean. One of their cruise ships, a regularly scheduled cruise ship, was going down in the morning, so they said, meet us in Port Canaveral, we'll get you. I'll essentially be a stowaway, but we can get you to Freeport and then Nassau.
And they played a big part in this too, putting together the meals. I was following you on social media, and that's where I was kind of, keeping tabs of what you were doing, but also what was happening there, because again, there wasn't a lot of coverage or outlets at that time.
Sure, it was tough to get down there, and it's not pretty. It's just not an easy situation to be in. And you go down there with the backpack, but Royal Caribbean brought 20,000 meals a day.
Wow.
And 10,000 bottles of water a day, so like 40-something thousand bottles of water over the weekend. And these employees, the crew members, volunteered their time after they were done serving the guests on the regularly scheduled cruise, and they made all these meals, and they dropped them off in Freeport.
And we have a clip right here, so let's take a look at this one.
This is a village called Mud, and if you look at the ground, you will see mud. Most of the water has gone away, but the flooding here was horrific. People lost their lives, and the destruction is everywhere you look. In this village that once had thousands of people, not one building remains standing.
It's a very heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching smell. There's just so much stuff buried here that they're not going to be able to assess a death toll until they really dig into the area and uncover a lot of these houses that were just covered up by other houses and things.
I've never smelled this before. What is it?
It's death.
The death toll right now is at 52, and there's about 1,300 people that are still missing. When you were walking around, what was that experience like?
First of all, you literally could smell death. And it's such an ominous, horrific thing, something that nobody should ever have to see or smell. And we saw these really desperate people. Look at this footage. We took helicopters, we took small planes, we took a pickup truck right there. And you have people in the Abacos, in Marsh Harbor, in Treasure Cay, who were living under that rubble. And when a helicopter would come overhead, they would come out and they would wave and just beg for food and water. The interesting thing is, and this is a story that hasn't been told because it's not pretty, a lot of the people there are illegal immigrants. So they're from Haiti and other places, and they don't want to go and get evacuated because they're worried they're going to get arrested and or deported. Those are the people who really got the brunt of the storm because they lived in these shacks. In that village of Mud, the homes were poorly constructed. It's a very low-income community. And unfortunately, that's why the death toll is where it's at. It's at 52. Those people aren't documented.
Right.
There are hundreds of deaths from what I'm hearing.
The other part of it too, disease, an outbreak that could happen in the near future on top of whoever is missing. So it'd be interesting to see obviously what happens. Now we have actually another clip here.
Sure. So we don't want to all be doom and gloom with this documentary because there are so many amazing people from across the world who are helping out. And there are success stories every single day, some that we got to witness and be a small part of. So I met up with this helicopter team, husband and wife, from the Florida Panhandle, from Destin. They flew down, and they literally saved lives.
We had done a drop again up to Foxtown at one of the farthest points in the North Abacos. And while we were unloading, a truck just pulled right in frantically. A gentleman jumped out and talked to one of our medic corps guys, Lawson, and made him aware that his grandchildren were stranded up the road near a washed out bridge and that he needed help rescuing them. He said 10, 6, and 3. So I jumped in the helicopter real quick and I told Justin, hey, we have to go look for these 3 kids. And his answer to me is, we have no fuel and we're running out of daylight. And we knew it was just a God-given thing, and we said, we're gonna try it. And so we headed down the road. He said, do you know where this is? And I said, no, I don't, but we'll find it. Continued down the road about 12 miles, and we've discovered a bridge that was completely washed out from the storm, and there stood the 3 girls on one side of the road, just hovered together, and their parents on the complete opposite side of the washed out road, just waving their hands frantically.
Listen, Mark, those girls were taken to their grandparents' house where they had resources, and it was such a special thing. That's one of so many untold stories that deserve to be told. You know, we are a voice for the people in the Bahamas who don't have these resources, and that's what this documentary is all about. We're not advocating for any specific charities or nonprofits, but we hope that it inspires our viewers to go out there to make a difference and to get involved however they feel is best fit.
Wow, so the special is tonight, 96 Hours of Anguish. Vic, thank you so much for doing what you do and sharing this story, because it's needed and hopefully it raises awareness and people could donate to the Bahamas and just help out that entire population.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Stick around, more to come right after this.